that regularly? Just a bit of housekeeping. Obviously, if there's a fire, we leave through that entrance and we meet outside the United Services Hall and gather there. It's safe to come back in. Receive apologies for absences.
And Chairman, apologies from Councillor King.
Thank you. Is there any declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests? Okay. We've got to receive and approve the minutes of the last meeting. Yep.
Councillor Conford proposed.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Page second.
Okay, have we got any public participation today?
No requests.
Sorry, public participation.
Oh, no requests.
So then we come on to the finance reports. We've got the bank reconciliation. You can see on the bank reconciliation actually, 10,000 was moved down to the current account into the deposit account as surplus, in accordance with trying to keep the current account lower and the deposit account higher, obviously, no interest, but other than that, as per normal. We've got the forecast report and the income and expenditure report as well. So we've got the income and expenditure report year to date. And obviously we're still forecasting a surplus year to date. However, that does, for the expenditure of that income part of it, we've now transferred that 5,000 into the deposit account. So just to make people aware.
Can I ask a question, Charlotte, please? Sorry, through the chair.
Yes.
Meeting I came to before, Councillor King asked for £15,000 extra
Yes.
to be put in the budget. Well, all of a sudden £15,000 appeared. Where did it appear from?
£15,000 didn't just appear, sorry.
The town clerk explained that at the meeting.
No, not so much didn't.
Well, you were sat right next to
Simple question I've asked the clerk through the chair. Now, if I can have an answer, that's fine. Not interrupt.
Right, I'll answer the question. The question is there that that's always been in the reserves.
So it come from reserves?
It's come from
Okay.
reserves and it's held in reserves.
So it wasn't extra money?
It wasn't extra money, it's always been there. and
So
been
really,
marked.
it needn't have been shown, needed it? Because it was in the reserves anyway.
No, yes, but when we did the budget, and you've got the reserves from there is a certain amount that's earmarked to the prudency accruals, and then there's a certain amount that's earmarked, and that was been earmarked for some time to identify the capital projects. So that's part of the capital to go forward, which we're building to on each year. We've got another 1,000 going in, and any surplus goes through that we build onto it each year. Sorry, Councillor.
Thank you. If I remember rightly, the amount of 15,000 has been reached because of accruals for earlier years, so it hadn't always been there. It had been reached this year because money had accrued to it, so it had been set as an allocation in the reserves at that level, partly because we've been able to build it up.
Originally there was 10,000 that was unidentified as no capital projects against it. There was 5,000 towards the bins, but the bins actually we managed, because of the surplus this year, we managed to do on the normal running costs expenditure, so that was happened to be moved up into there, so that had to be earmarked. So now we didn't have to earmark it, so we put 15,000 to carry forward. You're quite right, we had a surplus of last year which actually built up towards our prudency accrual. Any other questions on the reports?
No.
cost report for
Are
that?
we talking about this one as
You
well?
can talk about that one, yes, it's not a problem.
There's one there which I find as an expenditure, because it's not an expenditure unless there's an income, because it's out of somebody's wages. It's
Sorry?
out of Neil's wages. It's a payment to London Borough of Havering, isn't it? So it's not classed as an expenditure.
No, and we could probably, it's actually looks, it could actually be removed from that
Yeah, I
particular.
think it should do,
one,
because you're not spending it, you're just taking out his earnings.
yeah. It
'Cause if
is,
you're
how,
showing that as an expenditure, somewhere you've got to show it as income on
Well-
that particular line.
well, it's actually his net,
Yeah, no, it is, yeah.
his net, so yes, I'll make sure that's not included in the
Mhm.
report next time. Anything else you want to do?
No, thank you.
Okay, we move on to small grants. We've received an application for small grants scheme for
Still don't know any.
Yeah.
We received an application for this funding for the First Westgate Seed Scouts. They're looking for £800 and they're looking for it to purchase a tent. Okay. They've sent in some estimates for this. Sorry, Vicky.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah. So I spoke to the scout leader today, and there is 2 tents that they do need, and there's a big adventure weekend for all the Scouts in Planet at Quex Park this summer. That's what the tents are intended for.
Okay. So the question here is today, although we have reached the allocation for the grants for this year, we are actually forecasting an underspend. So whether we want to actually to contribute to this community project this year, or whether we wanted to hold it off until the next year. Councillor Crawford.
Unfortunately, agenda item number 9, that's something for the, is that going to be something for the Scouts as well? It's literally going to be a report on the condition of the tree on Sea Road that was planted in 2017. Okay, well, that'll be a short one. Okay, no, ask him.
I would propose if we've got the funds this year, and the kids want it, give it to them. It's a big thing.
Councillor
isn't it?
Page. Sorry.
I think we could only give the maximum 500. I don't think I would be prepared to give the 800.
Councillor Crawford.
Yes, I echo Councillor Page's comment. Also, how are we advertising the small grant scheme?
On the website. It's all on the website.
It's all on the
Policy, yeah, all the application form, guidance document, evaluation form, it's all on the website.
Just on the website?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there any other comments regarding that? Sorry, Councillor
I'll
Hall?
come back if I may.
Yeah.
Pick up what Councillor Page says, you know, we're trying to encourage young people in the town. For the sake of £300, if you've got it, give it to them. Just cut their nose off for 300 quid. These people work hard to keep these kids in the Scouts and they need a lot of equipment. And if we can help them, we should help them.
Sorry, Councillor, did you have any comments?
Yes, it's a pity they've given us so many quotes. Because from the quotes that they've given us, for 800 quid, you could buy actually quite a lot of tents, it seems to me. I don't understand particularly the logic of the 800. I think I think my gut reaction, having seen the prices, is to say, well, normally we're limited to 500. The supporting documentation shows that there are lots of tents available for 500.
It's, they do 1 to 2 tents, isn't it? It's 2 tents, it's not just one, just two.
So, I'm sorry.
And there's 2 tents.
2 tents. We were requesting 2 tents, that's why it's
Yes.
400. Yeah, so they're approximately 400 each, including the ground sheets. I think that, but they're actually putting something towards it themselves, from what I can see in here. Sorry, Councillor Page.
I would like, so I don't disagree with Councillor Ross' intentions at all. However, we do have rules within the scheme, and as was discussed at the last meeting in relation to this very topic, we don't want to start creating precedents. If we have rules for the scheme, then we should be trying to work with those. Otherwise, why have the rules in place? And I do think £800 is a very high request, given that we do supply all the background information for anybody making an application, and that means that they are aware.
Can I just ask the clerk, these have not applied beforehand, have they?
Not this financial year, no.
Right, so I think there's 2 questions on the table. One is to propose whether we actually agree that we're going to give them something, and 2 is the value of what we're going to give them. So can I just have the suggestions of whether we're actually going to let them have some of the grant this year, this financial year? Everybody happy with this financial year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And can I have the hands up for the proposal of the amount, either the 500 or the 800 that they're asking for? So can I have the proposals for the 500s, please? Okay. And the 800s? Okay. 500s carried. Okay.
I just think it's important to remember that also we're actually outside of the grant scheme
Yes.
period, and if anyone else should come along, we've still got 300.
Well,
you know,
Depending
available.
on our slippage, we've got at the
Yeah.
moment we've got so it's on a.
Can I have a comment?
Sorry.
If they're going forward next year with the second application, I think I would still be open to that. But that's up to them.
I can certainly let the
If you
scouts
let-
know,
yeah.
after April, obviously, a
You
new
need
application
financial
period,
year,
yeah.
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 It would leave us tight this year.
Yeah.
We just want to be sure of our prudency
Thank you.
this year. Yeah, thank you.
Can I just clarify for vote purposes, it was 3,
Yeah, yeah,
one against 3.
sorry.
So there's the chair, you
Yes, I'm quite happy to vote within our limit.
Okay.
It's at this time of the year, yeah. Okay. And town clerk is going to provide a report on payroll services.
Thank you. This is just to be received for information purposes, just to let you know our payroll provider, as of the 1st of April 2019, the charges do increase for the payroll provision, not for the pension provision. So it will increase from £20 a month to £30 a month, just to advise you. Thank you.
Okay. And I believe the town clerk is going to provide a report on the post office paying in facilities for our bank account.
Thank you. Yeah, with the Unity Trust Bank, the deal for the facility at the local post office, you can have an actual pay-in card so that you can pay cash in. This is as a result of charitable collections that we did in November, and I'm now got cash here that I need to actually pay to the charitable organisation, and they cannot accept any other way through the bank's payment. So what I want to do is pay the cash into the account, and then we can actually make the payment to them. And I've checked with the auditor, and that is the correct process. So if everybody's happy for me to, this is just purely for me paying cash into. I cannot take any cash out of the post office with this card. Thank you.
That's lovely. Can I just ask Obviously, it's a very good facility that we need to pay in because we've got, we use a bank account that doesn't have, a local branch. Will there be facilities to withdraw if we need it for petty cash?
We would need to nominate one of the local banks, which would probably be a NatWest. That would mean a trip to Margate, which I need to look into and make sure if that's the only facility, then I need to actually get that in place. But at the moment, I think this facility would really help at the moment with the issue I've got. Can we just ask everybody for the formal vote?
Oh.
Thank you.
Right, so can we have a, sorry,
I
Councillor?
propose that we adopt
Yeah,
the post office
thank you.
bank account.
Do we have a second? Thank you. All in favour?
Thank you.
Item number 9, the tree for the Scouts. Report on that one, please.
Thank you. Yes, just to let everybody know that unfortunately the tree on Sea Road that was planted has actually died. It will need to be removed. I've spoken to the Scoutmaster about it and he was aware that it's not survived. So what I was proposing is, because we've had so many generous donations of lots of trees, I've had a conversation with them and they're happy for us to actually give them one of the donated trees that we have for Westgate in Bloom, and then we can plant it in a better location for the tree so it will survive. So over at Lymington, and then obviously as long as they're involved and there's a ceremony, they're more than happy with that arrangement. So it's just to make sure that everybody here is happy with that.
Councillor Gordon.
So is that a change of location to Lymington?
Yes.
I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
That's much better.
Yeah, the tree, obviously down the front, it doesn't survive so easily, does it?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that location isn't suitable for the tree there, so yeah. Okay.
It'd be easier to maintain as well. No water, etc.
Yeah. Is everybody in agreement with using one of the trees for?
Yes.
And yes, and all in favour?
Thank you.
As I'm standing in for the chairman, it's the chairman's report. I haven't, he hasn't left me anything that he wants to report on. However, I would like to just say that I've been working with Jill on the new finance package, and the office has been working very hard to input all the back data so that we've been to run parallel. We hope by the end of this month we're going to have the first report. So for the next month, we're going to have the 2 reports coming out, one that comes in the same format that we've seen and one that comes off of the finance package. And we will do that until the end of the year, and then just so that we're happy that it is running parallel, it is working. It's been set up on the system to reflect the budget as closely as we can, so with the little departments or cost centres, whichever you want to call them, so it reflects that. So you can see a report against your own cost centres or departments, so that'll be interesting to see how everybody's matching. So just like to say that's coming through, and from the 1st of April it will be standalone. It seems to be working well, so good. Looking forward to that. That's good.
I think that's thank you to Town Clerk and Councillor O'Connor.
Yeah, it's an excellent little package. It's set up particularly for councils, local councils, so it's a nice little report. Anybody got anything else to go around the table, Councillor Greenwood?
Denton.
Sorry,
Just-
sorry, it's not.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So the other one.
yeah, sorry. I beg your pardon. The addendums. Got the volunteer policy here. So the volunteer policy has been passed through to the HR committee, and basically, is there any comments that anybody has got before presenting it to the full council for adoption? Anybody got any comments being made on this, the volunteer policy? Oh, sorry.
I welcome it because I think, although it relates to various areas of activity, I think for volunteer groups that we work with, it's good to have a kind of one-stop shop document in which all the relevant conditions and so on are laid out together. So I think, having seen the document, I'm comfortable with that approach.
Yeah, I think it set out, it gives them an insight for confidentiality, data protection and all those things that they will be responsible for, so it's a useful one.
I propose that we adopt the volunteer policy.
Yeah, second it. All in favour? Right, Revenue Task Force. Clark has got a report on this one.
This is an information item that the chairman has asked me to add here, so it's just to let everybody know that the task force has been set up, and Councillor O'Connor as the auditor and Councillor McAuliffe as the PR marketing and income stream role have been invited to join the chairman on the task force to identify income streams.
Okay. Has anybody got any comments or anything that they want to add to that particular task force? Councillor Page.
Is it just the 2 councillors involved, or are there any others?
At the moment, it's actually 3 councillors. It's the chairman as well. It's just really to get ideas for anybody that wants to bring forth any ideas. To please do, and we'll be advertising there's a meeting, and if you have something relevant, then I'm quite sure the chairman will be happy to take that on board.
Yes, I mean it responds to several discussions we've had recently. I'm grateful to Councillor O'Connor for having produced a sort of framework in which we can address proposals for income streams, and I think it's important that there is some centralisation on the one hand to ensure we have a consistent and thorough approach, and on the other hand to encourage proposals from all areas really. I think we need ideas. They could come from any source, whether it's people working in the town or contacts that we have and so on. But I just wanted to have that small group to sort of build up a thorough procedure, a robust way of looking at things, rather than simply having ideas which I know from the past have just been tossed out and never properly examined, that we have a small group that can examine these proposals, check them from various points of view in terms of their viability, the partners and so on, and then present something to council which is properly researched.
No, I think this is a really good idea to have a professional and able group.
Yes, I think the main idea is to see the feasibility. It's one thing having an idea, but if it's not feasible or if it costs too much, then the income stream is not there in the first place. So the idea is it's more of a feasibility study with this, just so that we can, and then if there's something that we can actually have as a proper income stream, we can then look at it and run with it.
How often will the group meet?
Yeah.
Ad hoc.
Yeah, I think
think-
we've got the first meeting to have, so I think that will be decided as we go forward. Won't it, Jenna?
Yes, I mean, I deliberately call it a task force rather than a working group because it's an unofficial grouping in the council. It's not a formal working group, which would require, I think, a more, what can I say? Inclusive approach. Yeah, I mean, I think there's all the work to do there. The first thing will probably be to draw up an inventory of ideas that are already on the table, to see if any of those are starters. I think the other thing is looking for partners, and we haven't done that as yet in a structured way, and I think maybe once once the task force starts to work, we may be able to develop into something else which is more formally part of the council's structure. But for the time being, I think there's a lot of spade work needs doing, and that's the idea of just having a small group.
Oh, that's good.
Has anybody else got anything they want to contribute on that particular?
Only to say that I think it's a very positive approach, very professional approach, and it will save a lot of wasted time, I think, in the end, because if you're going to research these things properly, viability will be found very early on, and if something's going to be not worth following through, you'll know that quickly too. I think this is a very sound way of working on it.
Yes. You know, the idea is that, as everybody knows, we're trying to keep our precept down. So we're trying to generate our own income and looking for ways for doing that. But obviously it's got to be income that can be generated and not cost the council money to generate it. So we have to look at that.
Thank you.
So anything else on that? Everybody happy?
Sorry.
I said anything else? Anybody happy? Sorry. Right, so now I'll start again and go around the table. I do apologise. Councillor Crawford, do you have anything you'd like to...
Yes, I've got a question. It's about the rent and the things that have gone wrong with the office. Are we obliged to pay the full rent for that?
Actually, I don't know. We do need to look at that, yes. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll research that for you.
But yes, it's not good to not having the toilet and things like that. So
I think it's disgusting.
yeah,
I just found out, you just told me, it's disgusting, that toilet door.
yeah. So I think that's a very good point to put towards that. Councillor Page, have you got anything you'd
I
like to?
haven't, thank you very much. Nothing from me.
Councillor Pennington, have you got anything you'd like to bring forward?
Not specifically to this committee, no.
And Councillor Rolfe, have you got anything you'd like to bring forward?
When is the town meeting going to be?
It's going to either be the 10th or the 17th of April. I haven't had that date confirmed yet.
Have you booked any speakers at all?
No, I've got to have those discussions with the chairman.
Okay, that's all right. Second thing, our company insurance, is it an insurance when business hours or out of business hours, or a 24-hour insurance
You mean for the office?
for everything?
Yeah, it's all a cover for everything, for all the times. Yeah, so if we're operatives were out working in the night time, they'd be covered. Yeah, it covers everything.
What about motor insurance?
Motor insurance,
Yeah, or vehicle insurance?
vehicle insurance is
Yeah.
for the vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is insured. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I'm sure
For
it's
being on the
insured,
road. Yeah,
but is it business hours or any hours?
it would be any hours like your own vehicle.
Well, not always, it can be different.
Okay, I can check for you.
Okay, is there any particular reason why you're asking?
I'll talk to the chairman if I
Okay,
may,
sorry.
outside the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, Councillor.
Are the operatives working more than 3 hours and at night?
The operatives are working 3 hours a day and they're not working at night.
Right, nobody has anything else to add to the meeting? In that case, it's 7:30 and I declare the meeting closed.
Well done.